Aloha, I'm Rodney Boucher. I'm with the EVA Emergency Preparedness Committee, part of the Island Preparedness Group. I'm here today to talk about individual, family, and community preparedness. What I'd like to start off with is by saying you build your kit, you make a plan, and you stay informed. Starting off with building a kit, the very first thing you want to do is think about water and food. What I have here is a 1 liter container of water. You want to also consider the food supplies that you're going to need. For both water and food, you're going to need here on the islands of Hawaii is 7 to 10 days worth of supplies. So make sure you include snacks for your kids. Having a flashlight in your kit, actually 2 is 1 is a mantra I like to use. 2 flashlights equal 1. When one dies out, you always have a second one. Or if you have 2 family members, then at least you have multiple means. Having a whistle is always a good thing to have, so keep that in mind. Also, in reference to food and water, is you want to look about having a cooler of some type. You might not have access to the grocery store or ice or the other things that we're comfortable with, so you have to think about what you need that might not need refrigeration or icing, and what you can take immediately with you. Other things that you want to think about and having in your kit are clothing. An extra day's worth of clothing for each of your family members, other toiletries, toothpaste, mouthwash, anything else that you think your family needs. That includes prescription medication. Also, in addition to that, is first aid kits. Something like this for camping is great. Something like this is also good, but it's very limited in what you can have for first aid kits. When we're talking about food and water, you want to think about utensils, what you're going to need to have for that. So keep that in mind. Plates, If you're using cans, have a can opener. Something that will open cans that's non-electronic, because you might not have electricity with you at that time. Other things I have is a radio, a little emergency radio. It doubles as a flashlight, but it also is a radio. And it also has a little siren on it, and it's crank powered as well as battery powered. So keep that in mind, what you might need. That if you run out of batteries for a long extended stay of anything longer than 1 day, 2 days, that's what you might want to have, is something like this, a little crank battery radio. It doesn't have to be. A little AM, FM radio will keep you informed, which is one of those the third thing that I was talking about before, staying informed. Listening to the local radio stations, when you hear the sirens, one of the first things you want to do is find out. Stay informed, go to your radio stations, your television, your social media contacts, whatever you have available to you, and find out what the sirens are going for and why, and that will give you better information to be prepared in building your kit. When you make a plan, you need to practice your plan. If you've ever had a fire drill at work, at home, or at school, it's very similar. You want to make a plan and then you want to practice it. What do you need to do to get out the door? You need to have a kit ready to go. Or if you're going to stay in, you need to be staying informed. Build the plan against both of those options. Having something where you have information available to you about how to prepare, in this case for hurricanes or other tsunamis or other natural disasters, someplace to go. When you make your plan, you include your entire family in the process. If you have a fire drill at home, you want all your family to be safe. In the case of a natural disaster, optimally you'll all be together. Chances are someone might be at work, someone might be at school. So keep that in mind when you practice these plans. How do you do it? Who's your contact person? If you have a phone tree amongst your family and friends, that's fantastic. Keep that in mind, and you want to practice that. Also, you might want to practice having little portable radios, something that's very economically available in most stores, and you can at least talk to your own family within the distance that's allowed. When I was talking about volunteering, one of the ways you want to do that is find out what's available in your local community. And I will say that if you go to the following website, oahuDEM.org, that will give you lots of linkages to all the different availabilities out there. We have CERT training. CERT training is Community Emergency Response Team training. That's where you talk to your neighbor, You work together. You know how to shut off their water, their gas, their electricity. They know how to shut yours off in case of emergency. And you help each other. In my case specifically, we work toward high wind warnings that go along with many different disasters, or flooding and tsunamis, because we live in Eva Beach. Part of that training is in reference to tsunami training, and you can find that at oahudem.org, where they have the maps for the different tsunami zones throughout the island of Oahu, and there's other ones available on the other islands. And they link you to that. The CERT I talked about earlier is a free course. It's offered through Oahu Department of Emergency Management. It's offered on most Saturdays. It's 22 hours, and it gives you great training in being prepared. Other things that you can practice or at least volunteer for is the Red Cross. Red Cross has numerous options available to you to deal with disaster services volunteering, as well as other volunteer options. Highly recommend any one of those. If you like to go online, there's courses that are offered through FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA.gov, and you can practice there, and you can take online classes that will give you better preparedness for, again, yourself, your family, and your community. One thing that is offered through Hawaii Emergency Management Agency, formerly known as the Civil Defense, is a program called HARP, Hawaii Hazards Awareness and Resiliency Program. Practicing that plan also includes using these devices out here and planning out. If you do go to the beach, look at that, what you need for 3 days, a long weekend. You build your kit, you make your plan, you practice your plan, and then you stay informed.